Hello everyone and welcome back to SimRacingOnline. This is round 3 of the DRM Challenge Season 1. We're currently in qualifying here at the Lausitzring, and you can see the provisional order on the left hand side of your screen. Matteo Santini currently right at the top of the order, and the rest of the cars making up the rest of the order, obviously, which goes without saying. We're looking here at Laurent Lons, and a big gap between first and second so far. Ooh, just been gapped a little there. Filip Stojanovic goes second. Not bad from him at all in the Ford Capri there. But anyway, the Lausitzring, one of the more modern tracks of the calendar. These older cars look slightly out of place in it, but it is still it's a race venue, and I'm sure that we are going to get a good day's racing here anyway. So, anyway, let's have a look at the order so far in qualifying. Matteo Santini currently at the top in one of the lovely-looking Ford Capris. Stojanovic, I just mistakenly said he was in a Ford Capri. He's actually not. He's in a Toyota C78, I believe. One of the many Division 1 cars we have here today in this multi-class field. Laurent Lons has a Porsche, one of the Porsche 935s. Let's see if we can find any more of the cars. Here's Phil Brown in the Jolly Club Ferrari, the Ferrari 308. Great to see. Weird looking Ferrari, but nonetheless very, very fast. Tim Muttram there, second in the order, goes just 9/10 of a second as someone spins there at turn 1. Behind Matteo Santini, he could be a contender for pole in the remainder of this session. And then we have seen all of the Div 1 cars, so you then head back into Div 2, which is currently led by Kirill Kirilov, unless, no, Paul Anstey is in a Div 1 car. So Kirill Kirilov currently leading Div 2. Followed by the next Div 2 car is actually Tony Talviti, who is a couple of seconds, actually, 2 seconds behind Anstey. So Anstey really leading that so far. And they are both in, let me look at, so they are both in Lancias, Lancia Beta 80s to be precise, but there are other cars in that class. Max Shepard's just gone second in Div 2 in the BMW 2002 78. And aside from that, you also have this guy here, which is a Ford Escort from 78, I believe, just being lapped by one of the Div 1 cars. And I think that's everything. I may have missed something, but I don't think I have done. So anyway, the qualifying session continues. Who should we have a look at? How about Filip Stojanovic, who has just lapped the Ford Escort there? Or not lapped, I should say, because we're in qualifying so far. I want to find someone who is just going on to a lap, actually, so that we can take a look around the Lausitzring circuit. Michal Masharek, maybe? No, that is not the start and finish straight. It's often difficult to see because there are different parts of the course. Ted Ho, just heading down through turn 1. Let's ride on board the... let's find a better on board angle since the steering wheel... Sorry, the seatbelt coming straight in front of his face there. Through the S's, turn 5, this brings you back onto the oval section, because this is, of course, a roval in nature. Very much a kind of... It's not a very ovular oval. It looks like a guitar plectrum, potentially, with some wiggly bits in the middle. Talking of wiggly bits, here is a chicane, turn 6 and 7. A little bit wide on the first of those corners, but that's okay. Turn 8, a longer corner. You can hear him feathering the throttle through there, trying to find a way to get on the power as quickly as he can, or the gas, as he would say, being an American. Down into turn 9. This is an even longer hairpin than the last one. Even tougher to decide when to get on the throttle without overshooting the exit. He seems to judge it to perfection, though. Another hairpin coming up, turn 10. This is a left-hand hairpin. And a slightly tighter one as well. Gravel on the outside, waiting to catch you if you overshoot it. Turn 11. Is it flat? I think that's not quite flat out, potentially. It's close. And then we head back into a twisty part at turns 13 and 14, which fling you back out onto the oval, and then you pass the pit entry and across the start-finish line. What's the lap for Ted here? It's no improvement actually. He was about 0.6 of a second down on what he could do, and he's actually going to bail out of that one. I think you need to head back to the pits before doing another run, but I may be wrong. Whatever. So, Filip Stojanovic here, currently second in the order, the closest driver to Matteo Santini, but Santini currently with quite a big gap there. 0.7 of a second. I'm being told there's no in-game sound. That's interesting. There really should be. Actually, come to think of it, OBS is not picking up the in-game sound. That's weird. I don't actually know what else to do there. Device. No, none of these devices are going to change anything. Okay, I think I've got it. Please let me know if you can actually hear the game sound here, because I think that I've just got it working. So sorry about that, but anyway, I reckon it should be up and running now. Apologies actually that we didn't have a stream last time at Meadowdale. I very much tried to get the stream set up, but unfortunately there was a big problem with the streaming. Well, with Assetto Corsa actually. It was, whenever I tried to load up, it would actually load up twice and it just couldn't handle it. It wasn't like I could just shut down one of the windows, because then they both shut down. And yeah, it was a weird situation, and unfortunately it stopped me from bringing you a stream. But just to recap on that round actually, and on what you missed out on, it was won by Laurent Lons in the Porsche, and Division 2 was won by Tony Talviti in the Lancia, and that means that the championship now looks like this. We have Tim Muttram at the top of the order on 76 points, followed by Laurent Lons, and Phil Brown, Filip Stojanovic, Michal Mazurek, Mark Johnson, Stefan Lagodin, Paul Anstey, Kimi Montikainen, and Mariusz Lebioda. Those are the top 10 in the Division 1 standings. And then in Division 2, it's Tony Talviti leading from Max Shepard, Dennis Matsis, Ted Hu, John Van de Gies, Kiro Kirilov, Fabrizio Ferranti, Maxime Tendel, Jos Ogos, and Jens Roos. So that's how we stand. I'm not sure quite how many of those people are here today, but anyway, the race will go on nonetheless. Stojanovic there coming back into the pits. Let's have a look at one of our Div 2 runners. What about Kiro Kirilov, who is currently P1 in that category? Completes another lap. It's not quite as fast as its last one, but unlike in, say, some single-seater series, you can go for multiple laps at a time in this, and realistically you will do to try to get your tyres up to temperature. Kirilov seems to have his car really hooked up through that section there. He is very quick, and currently leading the Div 2 category by quite a long way there. John Van de Gies, I think, is the nearest Div 2 runner to him. Shepard struggling a bit so far. Shepard well down the order compared to where she normally finds herself. So we'll see if she can find some more pace in this. Over 2 seconds off Kirilov, I'm afraid to say, despite being second in the Div 2 championship so far. The timer ticking down, not much more time, so let's see. This could be very important for Kiro Kirilov here. Van de Gies, I think, has had an off somewhere on his lap, so let's hope he can go for another one for his sake. Stefan Lagodin also registered as being off the road somewhere. But anyway, Kirilov just has a few more corners to go on this lap. Now, if he has enough fuel and enough tyres, he will go for one more flying lap. Interestingly, there's been an update to the tyres. After the first round of the championship, it was found that the Fords, both the Capri and the Escort, had a problem where their tyre wear was much higher than it should be. which really cost several drivers at Brands Hatch, I'm afraid to say. Kirillov across the line, and his lap only registered as starting now, so I wonder if that last lap didn't count for some reason. I don't know why it wouldn't, because we saw the whole lap and I think he was on the road. It wasn't like he just came out the pits or whatever, but anyway, this last run will be the important one for Kirillov. Since we've been watching him for a while, let's see if we can... Whoa, big spin for Labiota there. Van der Geest doesn't look like he's going again, neither is Ho. Talviti is... Talviti's a driver who I would expect to be going faster, however, he has not quite made another lap there. I think he was trying to get onto another lap, but it didn't quite make it in time. Let's watch Tim Muttram. He is registered as currently being a bit of his actually quite a lot of his personal best time there, so I'm not sure that he is going to go any faster here. But Tim Muttram, always a very fun driver to watch nonetheless. Brilliant sound to that M1 BMW engine. I hope you can hear that anyway. Yes, Andrew Williams says sound now. That's good to hear. No pun intended. But yeah, I'm glad you can hear it, because these cars have some wonderful, wonderful engine noises. Wonderful engine notes. Goodness, it's like a metal singer at the top of their range, at the top of their lungs. And in the final corner comes Tim Muttram. I'm not really expecting this to be an improvement. I don't know if anyone actually is going to go faster here. But let's see. Muttram across the line. And no improvement. He was down, I'm afraid. Only, in fact, I think that may have been equal to his lap, judging by the times, as he spins it into the wall. Luckily, of course, with this being a sim, it really doesn't matter. So pole position goes to Matteo Santini in the Ford Capri by quite a long way, almost 7/10 of a second from Filip Stojanovic. Then Tim Muttram only just off Stojanovic there. Lewis Dufour, Laurent Lons, Beal Mazurek, Paul Anstey, Phil Brown, and then the first of the Div 2s, Kirillov, doing a great job there in the Lancia Beta 80, a long way ahead of where you would expect the Div 2 car to be. The gap between Div 1 and Div 2 seems to be about 3.5 seconds here, so there will definitely be lappery taking place in the race, but he has actually out-qualified a couple of the Div 1 cars. Stefan Lagonin is 10th, followed by Mariusz Labiota. Then we get the second place Div 2 car, John Van der Geest, and then the third place Div 2 car of Ted Ho. Jari Lakkinen, Div 1, Tony Talviti, 2. Max Shepard, long way down in Div 2, I'm afraid to say. Not having a great day so far. Mark Jonzo even further down in Div 1 there. Jos Ogos, Div 2. Max Tendil, Div 2, Kenny Horton, Div 2, and were there any more drivers? Yes, there were. Kimi Mazikainen, Div 1 actually, and Jens Roos, Div 2. So those are the 22 drivers. Tudor Morris also registered as being on the server, although he has not been out and set a lap. So I don't know if he will be starting or not. If he does, there will be 23 cars rather. If he doesn't, there will be 22. But still, that is a big, big grid, and it's great to see so many people turn up so often. And a good retention rate from round 1 to round 2 as well, and just as much from round 2 to round 3. This is looking like a very good championship. I don't think Dennis Matzis is here today, I'm afraid, so that is our P3 driver in Div 2 who is missing, but I think all of the other main contenders are here and accounted for, and that is always great to see. So, just a reminder, it's going to be Santini on the front row of the grid alongside Stojanovic, and the top Div 2 car you have to look for is the thinner looking Lancia, the green one, 5 from the front on the right hand side. That is Kirillov, who will be first place at the start in Div 2. So less than half a minute to go until the start of the race now. It's going to be a 1 hour race with a mandatory or non-mandatory pit stop, so drivers can make pit stops if they like, but they don't need to. And here we go. When the 6 red lights go out, we will be underway for 1 hour of racing in Germany. And it is any second now. It's go! Go, go, go! Okay, let's head down to turn 1 to see who gets away well. Matteo Santini is not going to hold the inside line, so Stojanovic has a chance of getting through to the lead here, but Santini sweeps through, but he's missed it. Santini runs wide. He's gone straight over the corner, and I think he may have to give way. Loads of cars running wide. It's absolute carnage at turn 1. No one knows where the track is. There's cars pointing backwards. There's cars all over the place. I'm not entirely sure who's been caught. Kirilov's lost the lead of Div 2 in all of that. He's a long way down the order. Everyone's streaming through. Max Shepard's been caught up in it. Mark Johnson has been really caught up in it. 23 cars in the race. But yeah, there were cars flying all over the place in that. I'm not sure there was any significant contact, but no one knew where the corner was. Stojanovic is leading the race. Santini is second, followed by Div 4. And the leader of Div 2, let's head back until we find a Div 2 car. Is that one? Yes, it's Jos Ergos. Oh my goodness, Jos Ergos would not have been expecting to be leading Div 2, but he is, and he's just overtaken Laurent Lanz. This is a great start from Jos Ergos. He's got Ted Ho approaching him faster, but what a start. Is that Ho or Horton? I can never tell. It is Ted Ho. He's just been passed there by Anstey. Muttram there alongside with Div 4. This is for second place. So Santini's down to 4th already and Muttram up to 2nd. So there's a change in the order. And your leaders are Filip Stojanovic and Jos Ergos. Goodness me. I mean, no disrespect to Ergos, but yeah, he started a lot further down the order from where he is now. Where did Jos Ergos start? He started, let me have a quick look. He started 18th on the grid and he's up to 8th, so 10 places on the first lap. Santini there does get back past the 4, so a change of order in the Capris in Div 1. Jos Ergos, Matteo Santini through to P3. Div 4 losers are in all of that. Lebioda in the pits, so Lebioda I think has had bit of a whack on the first lap. Is his steering bent maybe? No, so I wonder whether it may have been a jump start in all of that potentially. I think Div 2, I'm not sure how long Ergos is going to hold that for. Again, no respect to Ergos, but Ted Ho was a lot quicker in qualifying. Ergos doing a wonderful job at the start though. He was probably one of the only drivers to actually stay on the road. That is, providing he didn't get that position by cutting the corner, but with a start that chaotic, I'm not really sure that many people are going to be policing that. But anyway, looking back at the replay, it does appear that he stayed on the road. Yeah, it looks as if he was one of the only drivers to actually make the corner, and that's why he is currently so high up the order. That's fair play there. He's just been passed by Paul Anstey. But Anstey is a Div 1 car, so Ergos still in the lead of Div 2, and he's going to have to hold off Ted Ho if he wants to hold that place. But anyway, the slightly updated Ford Escort from what it was at the start of the season, having to hold off a BMW 2002, much wider car, theoretically more stable, although the Escort, very, very good piece of British engineering. Very good all-rounder car, and a big hecking rear wing on the back there. The BMW has a bit of a mighty wing as well. Stojanovic there, fastest lap at the end of lap 2, unsurprisingly so, as he continues to lead this race now by 4 seconds. That is a decent margin there over Phil Muttram, especially, or Tim Muttram, sorry, I don't know why I said Phil. And look at Ho now, hurry to the inside of Ergos. This is for the lead of Div 2. Ergos saw him, Ho backed out of that. He knew he didn't quite have the run. Good driving from Ho there. Kirillov still having a rubbish day. He's just dropped behind. Well, he's still dropping down the order here. Max Shepard and Maxim Tendil there, just in front of him. And I think Shepard has gone AWOL over the grass. As Kirillov down in 18th position in this. Let's ride on board with Ted Ho as he hunts down the leader of Division 2. Again, the reason I'm on this camera view rather than the other one is because the seatbelt seems to be a bit glitchy in the way of the camera, but anyway. Kirillov now up into 18th, but still a long way down the order. That is 18th overall, and he is probably fighting with Maxime Kendall right now. But I don't want to miss anything in this fight for the Div 2 lead. Lausitzring in the Escort. First time we've seen the Escort really coming into its own. And Ted Ho in the BMW. Down into one of the many hairpins of the course. Not one of my favourite courses. I think it's a little forced, a little flat. But you know, a race is a race, and a circuit is a circuit, obviously. Stoyanovich sets another fastest lap of the race as he continues to build out his lead over Tim Muttram. Stoyanovich proving very, very quick, and so he should be. I believe he's actually one of the beta testers of this mod. Let me just double check that to make sure I'm not saying something stupid. Oh, I think Brown's had an incident. Brown is pacing backwards at turn 1, and he's right in the middle of the track. Does everyone avoid him? The Div 2 leaders are coming through. They do avoid him, so that's good. The Div 2 leaders get through safely. Now, if I was Brown, I would spin that around to his left rather than the right. Otherwise, he's going to come on to the racing line. I think there's damage on the front there. You can see quite a lot of scratch marks, so he's been into the wall. Not sure quite how. And the steering looks okay, but anyway, he's going to be a long way down the order when he rejoins. That's a big shame for him. And he's out of the top 20, goodness. And yeah, that car does appear to be having a lot of troubles actually rejoining the track, unfortunately, which is never a good sign. Ted Ho here, still on the back of Ogos, still hasn't got past him yet. But has plenty of time still. 53 minutes remaining in this race. It's a long race. Now what was I doing? Ah, yeah. Oh, Shepard, I think, has just had a spin. Yeah, and that will be... Well, that's not at turn 1. That's actually the other part coming off the oval. Down at what is called turn 6. And Shepard recovers in 20th place, just in front of Brown. Both of them having an awful day so far, I'm afraid to say. Lebioda and Jonzo there fighting in a couple of Porsches. Sadly, a long way down the order themselves. Stoyanovich, another fast lap of the race. He is absolutely flying in these early stages. Everyone behind him also setting their personal bests, but that is to be expected. They're on fresh tyres. They don't have any Div 2 traffic yet, so they are always going to be strong at this point in the race. Now, I'm not expecting anyone to make pit stops here today. In the first round, of course, as Ho goes to the inside again of Ogos. This is where he tried it a few laps ago. This time he's further alongside him, but again, Ogos sweeps through, keeps the car on the road, and maintains the lead of the race. This is great driving from Jos Ogos, and definitely the best I've ever seen him drive. This is brilliant. The number 1 on the side of his Escort, the number 1 in the Div 2 race as well. This is absolutely fantastic. Interestingly, 3rd in Div 2 right now, I believe, is Kimi Martikainen. Yes, it is, because Lagoden there is a Div 1 Ford Capri. But anyway, oh, change for 2nd. I believe Muttram's made a mistake because Santini wasn't very close to him, and now he's through. So Santini through to 2nd. Tim Muttram down to 3rd. And Santini has had pretty bad luck actually in this championship so far. Did take pole at Brands Hatch, of course, but then absolutely cooked his tyres, and that wasn't really his fault. There was, of course, an issue with the mud, but he didn't score well last time out either, I'm afraid. Tim Muttram leading the championship, just 3 points out of Lons, but Lons is another driver who's not having a great day so far. He's down in 6th as it stands. Santini sets his personal best lap of the race in the process, as would be expected. But that was even with passing Muttram. Mazurak also setting his personal best, as he has pretty much every lap of the race so far. Now, will Ho have another go here? Meanwhile, Martikainen and Talviti getting close for 3rd in Div 2. Ho does have a go up the inside. and again backs out of it, and again Argos makes the corner. What about Madskanen and Talviti? Well, Madskanen actually, my apologies, Madskanen is not a Div 2 car, he is actually a Div 1. So third in Div 2 is Tony Talviti there. And he is seemingly unpressured at this point in time by other Div 2 runners. Now this could be interesting. Stefan Lagodin is getting into the fight for the Div 2 leaders. Lagodin is a Div 1. So how quickly and cleanly can he get past them if he's going to? They are racing for position. This could get interesting here. Stefan Lagodin gaining and gaining. Now that Div 1 car will be a lot quicker on the straights. It will be about the same in the corners. They will have very similar levels of downforce. But he needs to actually get close enough to go through cleanly on a straight. But anyway, we're going a little wide there, taking a look at Argos. And getting it back on the road. Well, he never left the road, but back onto the racing line would be more accurate. Lagodin looked to be a little surprised by the braking distance of his car there. Needs to really set it up through these next couple of corners, because now you're about to reach the straightest and fastest part of the course. This is where Lagodin has his best chance to get through, and he should do, but he's just had a big twitch. Now what can Ho do? He will of course be feeling pressured, but he goes to the inside anyway, and this is probably the earliest on the straight that he's got alongside Argos. Through he goes. Now who has it into the corner? I believe it's going to be Ho. And Ted Ho does indeed take the lead of Division 2 for the first time in this race. Argos had his time in the sun and did a brilliant job with it, but now it's Ted Ho's chance to shine. Can he get away from Argos's car? And if so, how quickly? Lagodin still there as well. Still looking for some places. This won't gain him any points if he gets through, but he'll want to anyway, because it's always going to be better for his race. That's where he goes on the inside, so he's already cleared Argos. His next target will of course be Ted Ho, who's a little further up the road. That's okay. If I was Argos, I wouldn't be fighting this too hard. Because yes, Ted Ho is getting away, but with Lagodin between them, it's going to be difficult to launch an attack anyway. And you know, really, you're just risking those points. So Argos down into second in class now. Judah Morris there getting past Tony Talviti. That is not a change in class. That's just a change for overall position. Tim Mutt from that set his personal best lap of the race. He's trying to gain, trying to catch back up to Santini. He's got within a second of him right here actually. Big twitch. You often see Muttram sliding his car through corners, all-wheel drifting rather than proper, you know, loss of control. He is always very, very controlled, even when his tail's hanging out, wagging like a little puppy. But Muttram he's what I call a dual-axis driver. He doesn't just, I suppose it should be a tri-axis driver. He doesn't just go straight and turn, as the Godin I think has just gone past her. Let's just check that was clean. Yeah, looks like it. Argos right there with Ho again. But I suppose the other axis would be rotation, I guess. Argos is actually, he's still right there with her, isn't he? Right on his tail. Let's see what he can do here. It may not be over yet for the lead of Div 2. I didn't mean to write him off earlier, it's just that Ho has seemed generally quicker today. But anyway, Argos very, very quick. Obviously has a lot more race pace than he had qualifying pace. And just not making any mistakes. I think that the BMW will be quicker in a straight line, but as I said before, that Escort is an excellent all-rounder of a car. So we'll see, I suppose. Yeah, has now dropped to over a second back. Judah Morris here catching up to Martikainen. They're fighting for 11th overall. Haven't yet passed the lead Div 2s, but Morris goes to the inside anyway. And through he goes, so that is a position gained. Neither of them having a great day of racing, but enjoying themselves, and that's all that matters. And that's actually one of the reasons why, if you're considering getting involved in this league, you should. Oh my goodness, that was close there. Martikainen there, I think, made a mistake midway through the corner, and Talviti touched him from behind. Almost lost third in class there, because John Vandergeest is right behind him. That could have been hairy. But as I was going to say, no matter what your ability, no matter what your skill set is, you're always going to have someone to race against in this league. And if you do want to get involved, all you have to do is go to simracingonline.co.uk and sign up for any of our leagues. They're completely free, so long as you have the simulator already installed and you know, any DLCs that we may be using. And it's as easy as just signing up and then turning up. You don't even need to find a team. I race completely as a privateer. But anyway, it's not just Assetto Corsa either. We have leagues on R-Factor 2, Assetto Corsa Competizioni, the original R-Factor, Project Cars, I believe, or Project Cars 2. I think we have done in the past anyway. Automobilista 2, and of course we've also done Race 07, things like that. Oh yeah, we do have a Project Cars 2 league. So yeah, pretty much whatever your simulator is, there is a league for you, and there will be people to race against. But anyway, enough of that for now, because we still have racing on. Labioda is the car behind Talviti here, and he is he's in a different class in that Porsche there, but this is still important, as Talviti there pretty much lets him through on the straight. That's pretty wise from Talviti, to be honest, because Talviti actually getting held up on the exit there a lot. But John Vandergeest is the next car behind him, and that is for third in Div 2. So this becoming a little scrap on track. Labioda, Talviti, Vandergeest. Kirilov right up with them as well. His chance of a podium in class definitely not over. He took pole position and then got badly affected by the first corner melee. But he's still in it. 3 seconds faster than Vandergeest on the last lap. He's all over the back of Vandergeest's car. So Kirilov been really gaining. He's got his head in gear and he's right up with them now. And John Vandergeest is going to have to fight hard if he's going to hold this one off. This, of course, for fourth in Div 2. Identical cars, both Lancia Delta 80s, or Lancia Beta 80s rather, not Delta. Putting the power down towards turn 6. Lons, I believe, has just passed to 4. That's for 4th place, and I think I saw some gravel dust in the background, so I think De Voor's had a brief off there. So Lons up into 4th place now. About 17 seconds off the podium position, so he's still not having the race that he'd like to, but he's only 1 place behind his main championship rival, Tim Luttra. And of course, Phil Brown's already had an incident in this race. In fact, is Brown still running? Let's have a check and see if we've had any retirements yet. I believe that Brown may be out of this race. Yes, he is. So Brown, I'm afraid, has become our first retirement because Roos and Horton are still running back there. Kirilov is now ahead of John Vandergeest, so that is a change for 4th in Div 2. Just as we just saw a change for 4th in Div 1 as well. And Kirilov is now free to try to hunt down Tony Talviti. Kirilov, theoretically, the fastest Div 2 car. He took pole relatively convincingly. But does he have enough to catch up for Tony Talviti? Labioda there has just got past Martikainen down into turn 1. Those two fighting for 12th and 13th overall. Martikainen getting a little out of shape, but that's okay. Back to Kirilov, he will be absolutely flying at this point in the race. as he tries to hunt down Tony Talviti in front of him. Just under 3 seconds is the gap. Talviti here will be a little held up by Martikainen, I feel, in the corners. In the straights, of course, Martikainen has the edge, but Talviti keeps breaking into that 1 second window of Martikainen, where you're really feeling the effects of the turbulent air. These cars do create turbulent air. They have wings. They have ground effect to an extent. They have, well, some of them have big diffusers at the rear, and they're ultimately very kind of turbulent shapes anyway, very late 70s, early 80s. But Tony Talviti keeping his car under control towards the end part of this lap, and he will be begging for the start-finish straight to come sooner, so that Martikainen can clear off a little. Over the curb. 21 minutes into this race, Stojanovic still leads, followed by Santini, Muttram, Lons, and Dufour in Div 1, Majarek and Steve Lagodin. Then, of course, the first of the Div 2s, Ted Hurt, who is extending his gap over Jos Ergos. Whoa, big spin for Martikainen, and he's flipped. Goodness me, Martikainen upside down. You very rarely see that on Assetto Corsa. And that looked like a full-on blow over there. I didn't see all of it, but Martikainen really lost control. The car went over. The wheels glitched out a little, and that will be Martikainen's race run, I can't help but feel. Quite an accident there. That's one of the most spectacular I've ever seen in Assetto Corsa. But anyway, sadly you don't get an award for a spectacular flip. That was indeed full-on blow over there. The car has quite an unstreamlined shape from the rear, especially since you know, the Toyota, more than any of these other cars, it's very much a wedge shape, and if that side of the car is forced to bear all of that wind flow that's supposed to go over the more kind of slippy, streamlined shape at the front, then the wings aren't going to do their job. They're going to lift the car up rather than push it down, and over it goes. So Kimi Martikainen there having the ride of his life, coming out the final corner, and he becomes second retirement in this race. We're now watching Laurent Lons versus Louis Dufour, because of course Dufour only dropped behind Lons a couple of laps ago because he went off the road, and he's now been catching him. His last lap was quite a bit faster than the orange Porsche. Louis Dufour, of course, recently won the Touring Car Legends series, but that doesn't faze Dufour. He wants to win this series. Admittedly, he's sadly quite a long way down the order after missing last round and not having the greatest of races in the first round. But he wants to win, or wants to finish as high up the order as he can anyway. Up the inside of Lons he goes, and that's not normally an overtaking opportunity, but he's made it stick. So Louis Dufour goes back through into 4th position. And yes, he's a long way behind Muttram, 20 seconds, but at least he's 4th. And that puts him in the position of a potential podium if something goes wrong to one of the drivers ahead of him. Let's see if Lons can keep up with him to an extent. Nice looking number 2 Porsche there. It's kind of a goldy orange, almost honey coloured, as he weaves over the curve. Makes you hungry for, makes you thirsty for some orange juice, doesn't it? I may be talking utter rubbish. Quite a thin rear wing at the back there compared to some of the other cars. It almost looks as if they were trying to decrease the rear wing width. Maybe for straight line speed, since the car gets a lot of its rear downforce through ground effect and through its rear diffuser there. Quite a bit of rake on that car as well. It's a lot lower at the front than it is at the rear. But you do get that in a lot of racing cars. It helps them to turn into the corner and direct the airflow easier. anyway, Lons appears to be losing for a little bit here. Now what's going on with Jari Laakkonen and John Vandergeest? Laakkonen, I think, is just starting to pick up the pace a little, and Vandergeest here in one of the Div 2 runners is under attack. I think Laakkonen's going to go through here on the straight. Oh, he's going to lose control as well! Does he also... No, he keeps it out of the pit lane, doesn't do a blowover like Matikainen, and maintains in the race. He won't be aware of Matikainen's misfortune probably, but anyway. That was quite a save there from Jari Laakkonen. I have to... You know, he hasn't had the greatest race so far, but hats off to him for saving that. Very well done indeed. Labioda has been less than a second behind Morris for a long, long time in that fight for 11th overall. 79 Porsche. 79 being its number and also the year that this particular one came out. I believe it might be the 79J, although there's not much of a difference between the regular 79 and 79J. I don't know how to tell the difference actually, but anyway. Gets it turned in. Kirilov now has caught up to the back of Talviti. He's gained those 3 seconds that we were looking at earlier. And this is the fight, as Laakkonen does get past Vandergeest. But this is the fight for third in Div 2. They're quite a long way behind the top two in Div 2. But they're still fighting for valuable positions here. Both in terms of their races and the championship. Kirilov trying to get himself back into contention. He's taken pole 3 times out of 3, but somehow he's only 6th in the championship because his races have gone nowhere near as well. Talviti doing a bit better. He's leading the, well, not a lot better actually. He's leading the standings by 4 points over Shepard, and actually picking up quite a lot of points over Shepard in this race, as Shepard is down in 17th overall, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th in class. Talviti is actually being held up by Labioda here. Labioda, I think, has made a mistake because he's dropped about 5 seconds or 4 seconds away from Morris, and now that's going to bring Kirilov and Talviti right back together again. So this could be interesting. Talviti will be hoping, Talviti will be hoping the Porsche clears off a bit. But look at Kirilov, goes to the inside, and a very clean move. That's textbook stuff from Kirill Kirilov, who goes through to 3rd place in Division 2. Now the gap between him and Orgos, it's going to be hard to calculate. I reckon that's probably about 10 seconds there, maybe a little less. I reckon that's doable, but there are 2 cars between them, Labioda and Morris, and both of them are Div 1, so that could really confuse things. And I think that whether Kirilov gets to Orgos or not is going to depend on what those cars do, whether they drop back, whether they overtake Orgos, or whether they stay pretty much where they are. So we'll see how that plays out. Tony Talviti down to 4th. That's not where he would like to finish this. Championship leader. Won, of course, last time out. Finished on the podium both times so far. That's why he's leading the championship, because he's been very, very consistent. We've only had 2 races so far, but still. And this looks to be... Oh, and Muttrum's had enough. Look at that on the times. Muttrum has dropped a long way. And I didn't see what happened. None of us did, I'm afraid, but his name came up as off for quite a long time there, and he dropped about 6 or 7 seconds from Santini. It's not going to cost him a place, but that's not good anyway. There's a Div 2 car in the background there, though I don't think they were involved. They have just been lapped, so we do have some lapperies going on. Haven't seen the huge amounts of traffic, so I was somewhat fearing, but maybe that's coming towards the latter part of the race. But anyway. Ah yes, I was right about Filip Stojanovic being the one of the beta testers for the car set. He is indeed, and that would partly explain why he's so quick today. Currently leading the race. He's already got one podium this season, and he is 8.6 seconds ahead of anyone else. Lebioda and Morris have just swapped places in front of Kirilov here. They do appear to be holding him up. Could this allow Talviti back into the frame? Morris and Lebioda need to get a bit of a move on here. No disrespect to them. But here comes Kirilov. Well, now they're going to start flying away from him, but in the corners he's just going to catch right back up to them again. Across the start-finish line. Kirilov feeling the pressure. Talviti's lap was half a second slower, but well, actually that was Talviti's personal best lap of the race. Goodness. Oh, and they've come together, and that's really going to help Kirilov actually. Lebioda and Morris, I'm afraid. Oh, that was close with Lackinen there. Lackinen up to 14th, but almost collected Lebioda. But yeah, Lebioda and Morris, I'm afraid, came together there. Didn't see who was to blame, but anyway, that's taken them out of that P3 fight for Div 2. Down at the order. Morris got away with it a bit better. He's still in P12. Lebioda is now down in P15. And that has shaken up the order a little bit. But anyway, Lackinen now on the back of Talviti. Is he going to try to go through? Hopefully this is done nicely and cleanly. There he goes on the outside of the next corner. And Talviti will have the inside line, and Lackinen's going to brake far too late there. Look at that, Lackinen on the grass. And he's going to have to do that all over again, so that would be frustrating Talviti a little. Might be frustrating Lackinen too, to be honest. No one likes making mistakes, but anyway. Recovers to the race. Morris there was briefly within a second of Kirilov, but this is the section of the course where Kirilov looks so hooked up that he's just unbeatable. Even if you happen to be in a much faster Ferrari, such as this one, on the straights though, he might actually have a chance of getting back ahead here. No, he's a little too far back this time around. Crossing the start-finish line. Morris lost a lot of time to his competitors on that last lap. And now he's going to start losing out a little to Kirilov again, because we're in the corners where Kirilov is slightly better. Let's have a look up at Stojanovic. We really haven't seen him much today in the Toyota. He is on the back of Talviti, I believe. There's definitely lappery going on. Yeah, that is Talviti. Stojanovic so far ahead of anyone else that he will very shortly lap the Division 2 leaders. Stojanovic gets through cleanly, nicely done. Talviti running 4th in Division 2. Stojanovic's next target will be Tudor Morris, who we were just watching. I didn't see Stojanovic in the background, but that just shows how quickly he's come out of nowhere, flying out the shadows and attacking. Still 8 seconds ahead of our pole sitter Santini, and still doing an incredible job in this car set that he knows better than probably anyone else in this this field. Dennis Matzias, of course, who was in Division 1 in one of the first rounds of the or in the first round of the series rather, and the second. He is one of the developers of the mod as well, so thank you very much to both of them for developing and testing this wonderful mod that we're using in this race series. It's great to see, and yeah, very much enjoy it. Really, really fun racing. Morris, Talviti and Lackinen bunching up, as Lons has just got back past DeFore. Has DeFore made another mistake? Because DeFore was 2 seconds out of Lons last time I looked, and now he's 2 seconds behind. So yeah, I think DeFore has made another mistake. Well, we haven't been looking. And Laurent Lons back up to 4th place, just 1 place behind his championship rival. Well, I never. So that's for 4th in the overall order, and also in Div 1, which goes pretty much without saying. As we look at Tony Talviti, who I think has just been passed by Lackinen just then, with the help of Stojanovic coming through. But that is okay, of course. They're in different classes. Neither of them will be gaining or losing points through that, just time. Here comes Santini, actually. The next car to pass Talviti. It won't be a move for position, it will just be a move in the on the track. That is because that is Matteo Santini, who is 2nd in the overall order, doing a great job there in the Ford Capri. Similarly liveried cars going side by side, and Talviti sees him nicely. Santini does go through. More lappery up ahead. This is actually a car that's 2 laps down to the leaders, 1 lap down to Talviti, and that will be, is it? I think it's Jens Roos. It is, yeah, Jens Roos, the last car still in the race, after Martikainen and Brown's misfortunes, and Santini goes through cleanly, good to see. That is always good to see. Jari Lackinen, ever so slightly faster than Morris on that last lap, got within a second of him. P12 overall. And Lebioda in the pits, so Lebioda's day going from bad to worse. We're not really expecting pit stops in this race, but Lebioda's coming nonetheless. And he will be dropping right to possibly the back of the order, definitely the back of the Div 1 order. And he's out of the race, so I'm afraid we have now lost Irish Lebioda. He is our 3rd retirement out of the 23 drivers who started this race. There goes Santini lapping Lackinen. Let's ride on board with Santini for a bit, since we haven't had enough onboard action yet today. We're watching him watching the back of Cheetah Morris's Ferrari here, who he will shortly be lapping for. Well, who he will shortly be lapping. The hairpin runs right to the outside of the track, puts the power down, gets a better exit than the Ferrari manages. Down into one of the hairpins, getting closer and closer. The Morris will be seeing blue flags now. Ooh, that's tight on the exit there. Morris seemed a little bit panicked, and through goes Santini as Morris drops back. Next target up ahead there. That looks like Kirilov. Kirilov is definitely catching Yosogos here. The gap under 3 seconds now. Remember, it was about 9 or 10 seconds after he got past Talviti. So I reckon we're still going to have a move for 2nd in Div 2 here. But it's not confirmed. Remember, it's one thing to catch a driver and another thing to pass them. That is what Kirilov is going to have to remember. He needs to do it cleanly no matter how much faster than his opponent he is. Lackinen having a big twitch. He got closer to Morris with the lapping cars coming through, and I think he might be about to go through here because Morris had another twitch. He's getting closer and closer, but not able to do so in there. The Ford Capri, it's such a fast car, so much grip. Ferrari also very quick, but Cheetah Morris has a big task here if he's going to hold up. Jari Lackinen, the Capri just seems so much more stable. It's understeering slightly into the corners, but he does have more control overall than the Ferrari. And no, actually, Gino Morris breaks the creates the 1 second buffer again, and then makes a mistake. It's very much yo-yoing between the two of them. You tend to see that in fights around this part of the order. We're into the final 20 minutes of the race now. We're 2/3 of the way in. And a spin for Kirillov. Look at that. Kirillov has lost it coming onto the oval. And he's going to drop behind Talviti. So Talviti goes through to 3rd in Div 2. Kirillov's made a mistake off camera. And we didn't see how it happened, but that could well cost him a chance of maybe even, well, I don't think winning Div 2 because there's a big gap between 1st and 2nd in Div 2, but definitely 2nd in class. Possibly even 3rd. It all depends on whether he can get back past Talviti again. Yeah, mistake from Kirillov from what we saw. But as I was going to say, Stojanovic still leading this race by 10 seconds now from Santini. He's got that big 1-0 buffer. 1-0. Tim Muttram is 3rd. Then it's Laurent Lons. Goes to 4. Michal Mazurek. Paul Anstey. Stefan Lagodin. The first of the Div 2s, Ted Hurt. The second of the Div 2s, Jos Ogos. Then it's Gino Morris. Jari Lakkinen. And the third of the Div 2s is Tony Talviti, who is in a fight now with Kirillov after Kirillov's misfortunes. John van der Geest is 15th overall and 5th in class. Then it's Max Shepard, Mark Jonzo, Maxime Tendil, Kenny Horton and Jens Roos, the 20 drivers still remaining in this race. And Kirillov has really been in the wars today, I'm afraid, after running straight on at turn 1 and getting caught up in the melee. He tried to find his way back through the order, but he's had another spin and dropped back behind Tony Talviti and all of that. Once the start-finish straight again, he'll be slipstreaming him a bit, but he's a little too far off. Lakkinen once again catching up to Morris. Still this fight going on for 11th overall. Tony Talviti setting his fastest lap of the race there as he tries to pull away from Tony Talviti, and it's seemingly successful so far. But he appears to be really, really pushing. At this rate, might catch back up to Lakkinen again. Lakkinen with a bit of a twitch on the exit. As we now have just 17 minutes left in this race. Timer ticking down. And no one will be feeling it more than Kirillov in 14th place and 4th in Division 2. The Lausitzring circuit, as I said earlier, not one of my favourite tracks, but you know, it does what it's meant to do. It's also known as the Euro Speedway Lausitzring, of course, and it was opened in the year 2000. Still open for DTM. It's not used for any other series, just the DTM. But of course, it's most famous, I think, for the accident involving Alex Zanardi, where he lost both of his legs, and you know, keep fighting Alex. Alex, of course, having a second monstrous accident quite recently. This was the site of his first, but the circuit has also held Formula 3 Euro Series, a lot of DTM, Euro NASCAR, even A1 GP and World Superbike back in the day. But anyway, well, I wonder how close they're getting to the record. Well, they're nowhere near the record. That was set by Heikki Kovalainen, apparently, in the Nissan World Series in 2004. Understandable. and they're about 15 seconds off that. But then again, that was a much faster car. Nissan World Series, of course, went on to become World Series by Renault, and these cars, well, they are very fast, especially for their era. They are much older cars, and only, you know, GT sports cars at that. And Talbiti really is honestly up with these guys now. Bring Kirillov with them. I think that's probably the most exciting fight that we're going to have to keep an eye out for in the late stages. Talbiti versus Kirillov. Let's have a look at Kirillov quickly. And he'll be thinking, goodness, I've had to do this once, and I'm going to have to do this all over again, really? But sadly, that's what happens when you spin. I know the feeling, it's annoying, but you got to do it. Or just sit back and accept the position you've got. I think I saw Yosogos just up in front there. So this whole pack, wow, it's Morris there struggling through those hairpins. But this whole pack definitely getting closer to Yosogos. Blackman there getting a little twitchy behind Morris. It looked as if he was going to go through, but just a little too twitchy through the final corner. Yeah, there you see Yosogos just in front in the Escort. Into the first couple of corners of another lap. Talbiti, or Kirillov right there with Talbiti, using the misfortunes of the Div 1 in front of him to get back onto the tail of his rival. But can he do anything with it? Remember, this here, turn 6, was the corner where he pulled the move last time out. And the final corner is where he ended up losing it all over again. He's on the inside. That's much earlier than before. Look at that. Almost touches the back of Talbiti's car. We saw someone pulling that move earlier on in that corner. But, yeah, not close enough that time. That was close though. Goodness. Oh, my apologies. So, Morris Lackinen, Talbiti and Kirillov still very close. Kirillov, the hungriest driver there is in this pack. You can see Yosogos ahead and knows that in order to pass him, he's going to have to get through Talbiti first, and potentially even 2 Div 1 cars. But that's going to be a much tougher task to do since you can't really overtake them on the straights. Talking of straights, here we go again. Kirillov in the slipstream of Tony Talbiti's car. We'll be getting slightly closer down towards turn 1. And not close enough by any means. I think Lackinen locked up a little bit there. Oh no, it was Morris. Morris runs wide, so it's just Lackinen in front of this pair now. As Morris has dropped down to 14th. I think Tim Muttram's about to... Oh, and look at Talbiti! Talbiti's on the grass! Now what happened there? All of a sudden Talbiti was on it, and Kirillov's lost it while trying to pass him! Goodness, Kirillov has basically just thrown away an open goal there. Here comes Muttram through the middle. He had an open goal and he's missed it. Talbiti goes back through to 3rd. I didn't even see what happened to the pair of them. I'm just watching the replay quickly. I have no idea what ended with... or what caused Kirillov to go onto the grass there. Or sorry, what caused Talbiti to go onto the grass there. Or what caused Kirillov to make his mistake afterwards. Maybe he was just caught off guard by all of that. But that means that Talbiti will probably now get 3rd in class. Although we do still have over 10 minutes to go. Kirillov needs to launch a faultless run now. No more silly little mistakes like that. If he's going to get up to 3rd in class and take that class podium. He is approaching Chino Morris in the hairpin happens near the end of the circuit. Just 10 minutes to go. As near as makes not much difference. Of course, at the end, when the timer ticks to 0, the race doesn't finish then and there. They complete the lap they're on. But yeah, pretty much 10 minutes to go in this race. And still Stojanovic, Santini, Muttram, Lawrence de Fort, and then in Div 2, Ogos, and actually Lakanen has just passed Ogos. That was nice and clean, jolly good. And then Talviti, Kirilov, and Van der Kiest. Kirilov, I think, has just got past Cheetah Morris. Yes, he has, so that's important for him. Kirilov makes his way through. Okay, now 2.5 seconds to Tony Talviti. Can he do it? Place your bets now. He's got a long way to reel in. But if anyone can do it, Kirilov can. We've seen him do it so far this race a couple of times, but I don't know if he's done it in this time period. I haven't been keeping an eye on the clock when he's been catching his opponents. Tony Talviti, not a slow driver by any means. He's beaten me several times in sim races. But everyone a lap down earlier this year at Canadian Time Motorsport Park in the GT2 Corvettes, I believe. But that was a 1.5 hour race. Kirilov has got to gain 2.5 seconds in just over 8 minutes time. So, through the hairpins again, out onto the banking. Tony Talviti has caught Jos Ogos for second in Div 2. What can he do about passing him? Honestly, even if Jos Ogos finishes on the podium in Div 2, this will have been a very good drive from him. But he can see Talviti and Kirilov approaching in his mirrors. Talviti, very quick, bringing the gap down, hand over fist, step by step, rather big step by rather big step, and Kirilov now within 2 seconds of him. Talviti may be getting a little held up in this, but Kirilov is flying more than anything. It's more a reflection of his speed than it is of his opponent's speed. I like the way that corner kind of undulates a little bit. It's a little bumpy midway through, and that keeps it more interesting than some of the other turns. I've seen a couple of moves in there. Well, one I can remember. Can't remember who pulled it, but it was a couple of minutes ago. Well, maybe a couple of 10 minutes ago. But anyway, you know what I mean. Talviti was less than half a second behind Ogos for a split second there. Where will Jos Ogos finish? What position can he hang on to? Will he hold off Talviti? Will he hold off Kirilov? Will he hold off both of them? Will he hold off neither? Any of those configurations is possible. Ogos slightly wide there. But there's nothing Talviti can do about it in that section of the course. Surely something is going to change here down the straight. On the exit, Talviti with the overspeed and the DRS. Appearing quicker. Ogos going defensive. Talviti will be on the outside line here. But Ogos is the master of this corner. Turn 1 has been where he's won pretty much all of his positions. And again, keeps it within the lines. Does everything he needs to. He's still there. Now they're actually approaching some lap traffic here, I think. That is Maxim Tendel. Ooh, Tendel's very slow on the exit, I'm afraid. They're really getting backed up here. You don't need to get out of the way under blue flags, but it's really not going to be helping our leaders. Ogos gets through. He splits them. Look at Kirilov. Kirilov up the inside again. almost got back past Talviti for a third time. He's trying to take a different route. He's trying to do something different. It's worked out for him. They're still side by side. Talviti on the left. Sorry, Kirilov on the left. Talviti on the right, and on the far right is Tendel. And off goes Kirilov, and Talviti's going to get back through. Kirilov just can't catch a break. He keeps getting past Talviti and then keeps dropping back again. So many times he's effectively had an open goal, and he's missed it. And that was another time. He was pretty much past him there and just overshot the corner. And still Tendel's there. This is going to be helping Ogos immensely. Into the hairpins. Tendel takes a different line. Talviti had to check up a little bit there. What about on the exit? This is going to be so interesting down into turn 1 here. Oh my goodness, what's happening to Kirilov? Well, he's losing it. Kirilov has lost on the oval section. He's pointing backwards. He's on the track. Come on, everyone avoid him. Yes! Kirilov touches the wall as he gets it going. But John van der Geest is up to P4 in class. And that is gutting for Kirilov so many times. It's been almost guaranteed that he'll get third place, but he just lit up the rear tyres there. Off he went, and there was just no holding it once he was in the grass. He will be gutted with himself after this one, I'm afraid. Now Talviti has only 3.5 minutes, pretty much, to gain 3 seconds on Ogos. It's possible, but going to be difficult here. Maxim Tendel there. Of course, he didn't have to get out of the way for the blue flag, so SimRacingOnline rules mean that it's the faster driver's responsibility to find a clean way through, and the slower driver doesn't have to get out, doesn't have to leap out of the way like you see in Formula 1. But he certainly didn't help that lead scrap there. But what a shake-up of the order that was, with Kirilov dropping to P15 and all that, I'm afraid to say. In the background there, more lap race going on. Has Lewis de Vore reached lap traffic yet? I think he has. Yes, indeed, that'll be John van der Geest ahead of him. He's inherited 4th in class. You see some more cars going at it in front of him. A lap down. Lewis de Vore has had an up and down race, still running in 5th position in the massive looking Capri. It's not very tall, but in terms of its width and length, that is one big car. The Zakspeed Capri. Zakspeed back in those days, not yet a Formula 1 team. They became a Formula 1 team in the 80s, around the likes of Martin Brundle, Bud Schneider, Piercarlo Genzani. Scored a couple of points, I think. Never managed a podium, but ultimately just didn't really have the funding for F1. Nowadays they run Mercedes GT3s in things such as the ADAC GT Masters, and also they have quite a strong presence in sim racing as well. I remember they sponsored Avid Chronic Racing a couple of years ago in GPWC Super League, one of the biggest rFactor 2 leagues. But anyway, yeah, Zakspeed basically took the big slide from de Vore. But yeah, basically took the Capri and made it into the monster you're seeing in front of you. Less than a minute to go now. Where is Stojanovic on the track? That's quite early on in the track, I think. I wonder whether this might be the last lap we're seeing. Stojanovic. Let's keep with him just in case. Stojanovic has been utterly dominant today. We've barely seen any of him. It's been such an amazing performance. And he's 13.8 seconds pretty much ahead of Santini at this point in time. Cut through traffic like a hot knife through butter, which is what you need to do in multi-class racing. And indeed, this may well be the last lap because the timer is ticking right the way down. Filip Stojanovic is heading to his first win of the season. 3 different winners in the Division 1 category. And in both categories, come to think of it. The timer has ticked to 0. Filip Stojanovic has just a couple of corners left in the track. What a drive this has been. And he's still going to be a long... Well, actually, I don't know where he's going to be in the championship. We'll have to wait for it to update. He's 4th so far, but only a couple of points behind some of his other rivals. But here we go, final corner for Filip Stojanovic, and the magnificent Toyota Celica 78 is going to come past the cones and win by about 14 seconds. Filip Stojanovic, great drive, absolutely great, well done. Let's watch our Division 2 winner now, Ted Hur, who I'm actually going to name my driver of the day. We haven't seen much of him, but he's done everything he needed to. Very consistent, very clean, dealt with traffic alright, and he's going to win it by about 20, maybe 23 or 24 seconds. It's very close for second in class, so I'll have a look at that when he crosses the line. But anyway, here comes Ted Hur, and Talviti gets past Ogos on the last lap. There's still good. Well, I have to look at this now. Ogos is still there. Ted Hur crosses the line, he wins. But let's take a look at this second place battle. Apologies to Hur, this is rather spoiling his spotlight, or stealing his spotlight, I suppose you would say. Final corner for Ogos and Talviti, the fight for second in Division 2. And Jos Ogos, who has driven a magnificent race, led it in the early stages. His best result up to this point, I think it was like 7th or something. He's going to finish 2nd. Fantastic race from Jos Ogos. Tony Talviti 3rd. Brilliantly done. Ogos, another real contender for driver of the day there. Amazing performance. Santini was 2nd overall. Muttram was 3rd. 3rd in Div 2 was Tony Talviti. Let's have a look at some of the other competitors finishing. There goes Michal Mazurek in the bright yellow Porsche. Paul Anstey in the Ferrari. Haven't seen much of him today, I'm afraid. Max Shepard, torrid day for her in the BMW, I'm afraid. Mark Johnson even worse in the Porsche. And the last driver to cross the line will be Jens Roos. So, let that be the order. It is Filip Stojanovic, followed by Matteo Santini, Tim Muttram, Laurent Blanz, Lewis Dufour, Michal Mazurek, Paul Anstey, Stefan Lagodin. Then our Division 2 winner, Ted Hur. Only 1 lap behind the outright winner. Great drive from him. Jari Lakinen was 10th overall. Jos Ogos 2nd in Div 2. What an unexpected performance, but what a brilliant drive from him. Tony Talviti 3rd in Div 2. Chida Morris, John Van der Geest, Kirill Kirilov, Max Shepard, Mark Jonzo, Maxime Tendil, Kenny Horton, Jens Roos, and then of course the retirements were Mariusz Lebioda, Kevin Matikainen, and Phil Brar. Thank you to everyone who tuned in, and I hope you enjoyed it. And anyone who's watching this afterwards as well, hope you enjoyed it as well. Join us in 2 weeks' time at the same time, where we will be at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. That is going to be very, very interesting. And well, today the racing was decent, but it got a little spread out and predictable at times. The Nordschleife is not going to be predictable by any means. It's the Nordschleife. You know it, you love it, and you're going to see it if you tune in 2 weeks' time. The other rounds of the championship we still have to go. Sebring will be 2 weeks after that, and then Zolder will round out the championship. You guessed it, 2 weeks after that as well. Thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you in 2 weeks' time.